The working people of New York have been told by the wealthy and the well-connected that power does not belong in their hands. Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands.
DL Hughley just went off on 50 Cent, and trust me, he wasn't holding back. He called out what he sees as straight-up hypocrisy, and he came with receipts. DL's tired of watching rich celebrities play this "I'm one of the people" act, only to turn around and lose their minds the second someone tries to actually help real working folks. This time, the one feeling the fire is none other than 50 Cent himself. Now, here's where it all kicked off. Zohran Mamdani just made history as New York City's first Muslim mayor. The man hasn't even finished unpacking his boxes in City Hall, and already 50's out here acting like NYC's turning into a disaster zone overnight.
And my job as someone who believes deeply in the public sector is to ensure that we're delivering public excellence. And that means every dollar that we raise, I want to be able to prove to you that it's every dollar that's being well spent. That's the relationship there. And I do have to say, even though we have a disagreement on tax policy, every time I get a death threat, I still listen to many.
He didn't even wait for the guy to start working before going into full panic mode. DL saw the whole thing and said, "Hold up, this right here is what I'm talking about." And he let it fly. No filter, no hesitation. Mamdani ran on a platform that was all about helping the people who actually keep the city alive: rent freezes, affordable housing, free public transit. Stuff that would let working families finally breathe again instead of being crushed by sky-high costs. It's a message that hit home for a lot of people, especially with how wild the economy's been lately. But apparently, that kind of change was too much for 50 to handle. Right after the election results dropped, 50 jumped online like the world was ending.
And Republicans actively protect pedophiles.
So Zohran Mamdani just became the first Muslim mayor of New York City. And 50 Cent, who is a New York native, is not too happy about that. In fact, he just posted this on his Instagram, saying, "Rest in peace to New York City."
He posted this dramatic tombstone that read RIP NYC with the year marked as 2025, like seriously, man? Then he followed it up with another post, a photo of himself dining with his crew, captioned, "Escaped from New York, hit the road. All roads lead to Shreveport." That's some movie-level dramatics right there. For those who don't know, Shreveport's a city in northwest Louisiana, and that's where 50's been pouring his energy lately. Through his company, G-Unit Film and Television, he's been setting up shop leasing studio spaces, planning a $50 million entertainment district, and building what he calls a new home for his media projects. It's clear he's got big dreams for the South, and honestly, that's dope. But what DL's saying is this: maybe the issue ain't New York falling apart. Maybe it's people like 50 turning their backs and acting like the city's dead just because they moved on. DL basically flipped the script. He reminded everyone that cities don't die because of change. They die when the people who made them great start acting like they're too good to care, and that hit deep. The whole thing's got the internet debating, is DL just stirring the pot? Or did he just say what everyone's been thinking but too scared to say out loud? 50 Cent's been busy turning Shreveport into his own little kingdom, straight up building an empire out there. He's basically telling everybody, if you want to work with him, better pack your bags and head down to Louisiana. But people are starting to ask the real question: why is he so pressed about Zohran Mamdani's big win in New York? What's got him this heated?
Here's what's interesting to me. So Mamdani is going to be the new mayor of New York, 34-year-old kid. Like I said, I live in New York. I couldn't vote in that election, but if I could, it would have been an easy choice. But here's what I really don't understand. The man who is actively trying to use hunger to get his political way, saying that people won't have food unless they do his political bidding, is saying that the man who wants to make rent cheaper, public transportation cheaper, and food cheaper is the one who is ruining America. So the man who wants to starve you to get what he wants thinks that the dude who wants to feed you, house you, and get you, make you able to get around cheaper is the horrible one. That tells you everything you need to know about where we are.
Well, here's the deal. Mayor Mamdani's not just making history, he's making moves. He's pushing for a small 2% income tax hike, but only for those making over $1 million a year. Yeah, the ultra-rich. On top of that, he's talking about raising the corporate tax rate to around 11.5% and finally fixing that broken property tax system that's been unfair for decades. You know the one where billionaire penthouse owners end up paying less in taxes than families living in the Bronx? That's insane. Mamdani made it clear he wants to shift the weight off working-class neighborhoods and put it right where it belongs on those luxury zones like Central Park South. That's where multi-million-dollar condos have been getting ridiculous tax breaks, while regular homeowners in Queens and the Bronx keep getting squeezed dry. So, yeah, when 50 saw all that, he started acting like New York was officially buried 6 feet under. But the internet wasn't having none of that. People came for 50 hard in the comments, dragging him like never before. Fans called him out, saying he's forgotten his roots and turned his back on the same communities that built him up. One person wrote, "Guy who sold crack to his community suddenly cares about their well-being." Another reminded him, "When you got shot 9 times, your hospital bill was paid by taxpayer programs." Someone else added, "Your grandma was on food stamps." And one bold follower even joked, "Won't be long before he's in Tel Aviv kissing the wall, LOL. It got messy real fast. That's when DL Hughley jumped back in and he had smoke for 50 once again. DL said it's wild to see someone who came from struggle now crying over a plan that's meant to help folks still living in it.
What I would say to you, 50, if you are indeed watching, or anyone else who's watching this show, is I continue to think that having the top 1% of New York City, who are making more than $1 million a year, having them pay 2% more for an economic agenda that would transform every New Yorker's life, including their own, is something that is worthwhile. I have to say, even though we have a disagreement on tax policy, every time I get a death threat, I still listen to Many Men. It's true.
Well, you take Many Men for motivation. I was going to say your answer sounds a little bit like clickety clank, the money goes into my piggy bank.
Wow.
And if we had more time, we'd do more 50.
He pointed out the double standard clear as day, how people like 50 kept quiet when Trump was cutting food stamps and weaponizing hunger, but now want to lose their minds when a mayor talks about helping working families. DL didn't sugarcoat a single thing. He said what a lot of folks were already thinking. The energy switched fast. 50 tried to clown New York, but now the streets are clowning him. And then boom, plot twist. Mayor Zohran Mamdani himself clapped back after 50 Cent said he'd pay $285,750 just to leave New York. Instead of getting mad, Mamdani laughed it off and fired back smooth, saying 50 clearly doesn't get that taxing. The top 1% actually helps everyone. He basically told 50, "You're rich, man, you'll survive," and kept it moving. But 50? Oh, he wasn't ready to let it go. He later reposted the mayor's clip on his Instagram, doubling down like he just couldn't help himself. His caption read, "I think his intentions are good, but his tax plan's gonna run the big money out of the city." That's when people realized this wasn't just a quick online spat. The showdown between New York's new mayor and its loudest mogul was officially heating up. Then 50 really cranked up the drama. He started warning that if Mamdani defunds the police, it'll be the purge out here, ending once again with his favorite line, "All roads lead to Shreveport." Like seriously, he's treating this like a blockbuster trailer. But let's call it what it is, straight up fear-mongering. A classic class scare tactic. Rich folks have been pulling this same move for decades. Every time someone mentions raising taxes, they start screaming about leaving the city. But that bluff's been running since the 1970 seconds, and they never really go anywhere. Why? Because no matter how much they complain, New York's where the real money gets made. You can't swap out the hustle of Wall Street for palm trees and humidity. That energy is one of a kind. And to prove the point, look no further than billionaire hedge fund guy Bill Ackman. This man spent months coming for Zohran Mamdani during the campaign, not just disagreeing, but going low. He was out here posting straight-up disrespectful stuff online, painting Mamdani like some kind of extremist out to destroy the city. Ackman even claimed he'd be packing his bags for Florida the moment Mamdani won. But here's where it gets wild. The second Mamdani officially took the win, Ackman flipped faster than a pancake on Sunday morning. He jumped on Twitter acting brand new, posting, "Zohran Mamdani, congrats on the win. Now you have a big responsibility. If I can help NYC, just let me know what I can do." Like, hold up, what happened to that big Florida escape plan? Suddenly he's volunteering to help the same man he called dangerous just weeks ago? The whole thing exposed the pattern perfectly. The so-called big money crowd loves to talk tough when power's shifting, but when the dust settles, they're right back in the mix, shaking hands with the same people they tried to tear down. What 50's doing isn't new. It's the same old rich man panic wrapped in flashy social media posts and fear talk. See, that's the whole game right there. They were never gonna leave. It's all smoke and mirrors, a scare tactic they pull every single time an election rolls around. Whenever regular folks start gaining even a little bit of power, the rich start panicking and flipping the script. They act like they're the victims, crying that the economy's about to crash, pretending to care about the people when really, they're just guarding their own bank accounts. It's manipulation dressed up as concern. Let's be real, these billionaires need New York. Every part of their lifestyle is rooted in that city, their companies, their investors, their luxury circles, their image. You can't recreate that kind of influence in Florida or Louisiana, no matter how many sunny skies or tax breaks they brag about. The culture, the networking, the energy, it's all in New York. That's why every time they scream, "We're leaving," they're bluffing hard. It's a tired move. They throw out threats hoping politicians will get scared and start backing off their plans. But when that doesn't work, suddenly they switch up and start acting like they've been Team New York from day one. It's the same old dance panic: threaten, pretend, repeat. And right now, we're watching that exact playbook unfold again with Bill Ackman and 50 Cent. Both of them pulled the same stunt the minute their money felt even slightly at risk. They started spreading fear like the city was about to crumble overnight. But give it a few weeks, and watch, they'll still be in New York, richer than before, living their best lives, and still complaining about taxes they can easily pay. It's performance outrage, nothing more. And about that part where 50 claimed Mayor Momani's gonna defund the police? Completely off base. If he actually took the time to read the plan, he'd know Momani never said anything about abolishing law enforcement. What he's proposing is rebalancing the city's budget, that's it. The goal isn't chaos, it's smarter spending. Momani wants to shift funding toward the roots of the problem: affordable housing, mental health care, and real community programs that actually prevent crime instead of just reacting to it. He's saying maybe it's time to stop pouring endless millions into a department that still can't figure out how to stop the cycle before it starts. That's not defunding, that's redefining what safety actually means for everyday New Yorkers. And that's what's really got some folks nervous, because if this works, it proves the system can change without catering to the same rich voices who've been running the show for decades. So no, New York's not turning into the purge. Let's cut that nonsense right now. What we're really seeing is the same old rich people drama, the top 1% crying wolf, the second someone even mentions leveling the playing field. That's not a purge, that's just plain common sense. History's already proven it. Cities that invest in people instead of punishment end up with less crime, not more. That's facts, not fear. While 50's out here acting like some doomsday prophet, pushing panic that the rich will flee and New York's about to crumble, let's keep it real. All that fear talk only protects one group: the folks sitting pretty at the top. Because while everyday New Yorkers are stressing about rent hikes, subway delays, and grocery bills going through the roof, 50's biggest worry is a small tax bump he can easily pay off from his mansion in Houston. That's wild. And that's exactly the disconnect DL Hughley's been calling out. He's saying it loud the moment someone who built their whole career on get rich or die trying starts acting like the real problem is poor people trying to survive. You know, something's way off. It's not about hating success, it's about remembering where you came from. You can't preach hustle from the bottom, then panic when the bottom finally gets a little help. This isn't just about 50 Cent or one billionaire throwing a tantrum online. This is a whole pattern. The rich love to scare the public into thinking progress is dangerous because it shakes up their comfort zone. Every time someone talks about fair taxes or affordable living, they start screaming RIP, New York, like it's the end of the world. But guess what, it never is. And here's the real twist. Those same people claiming they're done with the city, they're not going anywhere. They're still signing deals, collecting rent, making investments, and cashing checks off the same city they just called dead. It's a performance all noise, no follow-through. The only thing that's actually dying is their grip on unchecked privilege. So, what do you think is 50, right? Is Mayor Momani's plan really gonna destroy New York? Or is 50 just another one who lost touch with his roots the moment he made it big? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and share this video. Don't forget to subscribe because this story is just getting started, and you know the truth always deserves to be heard.